next piece is probably the most famous piece of music our duo plays. It comes from Rimsky Korsakov's opera Tsar, Saltan. It's incidental music I'm sure you're all familiar with. Okay then, well, since you're not familiar with the opera, I'll take a brief moment to incite the entire libretto and then we'll play the piece. It goes like this. There are three bachelorettes, bachelorette 1, 2, and 3 consecutively. They're talking about what they would do if they could marry the king. Bachelorette number 1 says, if I could marry the king, I'd cook him the finest foods. Bachelorette number 2 says, if I could marry the king, I'd stitch him the finest garments. Bachelor number 3 says, oh, if I could marry the king, I'd bear him the most beautiful son the kingdom has ever known. Just then the king leaps out of hiding. He's been eavesdropping. He says, marry me, bachelorette number 3. And they are wed, and the king goes hunting. That's the end of Act 1. Act 2, the king is still away hunting. Meanwhile, the queen gives birth to a beautiful baby boy, just as she promised. However, bachelorettes 1 and 2 are quite jealous, and they send a letter to the king saying that she has given birth to a hideous monster. He writes back, put them in a barrel and throw them in the ocean. And it is done. That's the end of Act 2. Act 3 shows the barrel floating on the ocean for many years. In fact, so many years, when it finally arrives at the magical fantasy island, the young prince emerges a full tenor and sings a beautiful aria. It's at this point that he meets the talking swan. The talking swan says to him, she says, I understand you have abandonment issues in regards to your father. He says, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. She said, let me take you to the Dolphin King and he can counsel you. So off she waddles and he notes every swing of her tail feathers. Off to the Dolphin King. The Dolphin King says, yes, you should confront your father, I'll turn you an insect. And it's done. He turns him into an insect. He flies back, visits his father, discovers his father's been deceived, tells him such. His father replies with, sorry about that whole barrel in the ocean thing, are we good? Anyway, it returns with his son to the magical fantasy island where the Dolphin King turns the talking swan into a beautiful princess, and although their relationship started on a foul note, the prince and princess are married and live happily ever after. The piece from the opera, The Flight of the Bumble Bee.
You will never see YMCA played on a cello again. A big round of applause for those guys.